This is that there is currently like an overwhelm of brands and consumer options in the fitness industry in Australia, anyhow, right? I believe it's the same thing and the same trends happening globally, but in Australia here, it's freaking noisy. It's overwhelming. There's every time I turn around, there's a new brand, a new product popping up, right? So, but also clear in the last decade that the investment in health and well-being has been a top priority for a lot of people. So that's actually helping as well. But, you don't need to be a genius when you look at the landscape that it's a very risky space to get into right now, right? And at that rate, it's going to pop. And we just witnessed, well, it's happening, that's right, we're witnessing, the devastating collapse of F45. And, I'm not going to get into, there's a lot of different views and opinions and about that, but as far as I'm concerned, from where I'm standing, it all comes down to the business model, the franchise business model, the leadership, the visions, the systems, right? The resources, the sophistication of all of that determines the success or the failure of, of a company, right? And look, it's not apples with apples here, but when you have a look at people say, COVID and this and that and all this, it still comes down to the business model, right? And when you look at McDonald's, for example, McDonald's survived through the times, right? It's been hit with everything that everybody else has been hit with, right? Why? Because you have a look at their systems, you have a look at their resources, you have a look at the sophistication, the integration of everything together, right? And the constantly evolving with the trends and the times. And that's what I think needs to happen in the fitness industry as well. So let's talk about S30, because you're actually on the brinks of that journey yourself right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a saturated market, absolutely, at the moment, and it has been. I think we launched our first location 2019, 5 years ago. It was nowhere near as hectic as it is now in the boutique space, and my background was with F45, so we had about 9 or so in our portfolio. First one we started here in Perth, in the city, and we merged with a couple of guys and scaled out a couple, and then we went over to Singapore and did a few over there, and we got up to sort of, I think, 9 or so. And that's when a boutique fitness, was just a completely new concept. And I loved the business model back then. Still love the business model now, obviously. But I didn't particularly love the training so much, but I really loved that business model because I was a successful PT. And I had, three apprentices underneath me. I was young. I was 21 years old. Scaled a really good PT business, but the ceiling was just right there. There's only so much you can do with your time. Only so much you can do. Only so much money you can make. And then I was already starting to sort of diversify down into apprenticeships of people underneath me, and it was still the ceiling where I was working sort of 50, 60 sessions a week. So, getting into looking at F45 in the space in the boutique offering it provided, it was this whole new market. Where you could have 200-300 members paying you the same price as one PT, but you could get them into 5-6 classes a day. So back when we first, so I exited that in 2016, and then I went into the, scaled out or conceptualized the S30 model through 2017, 18, and then launched it first in 2019, where there wasn't a lot of noise, and there certainly is a whole lot of noise now. I think there isn't a lot of not regulation, but I think anyone can be a PT in 3 months, so they can become a PT, get a certification, and then all of a sudden they can go and start their own boutique studio.
Yep.
Whereas that's
a problem.
That's the problem. So I genuinely think that is the biggest problem.
Well, that's one of the problems, right?
Definitely one of the problems. Yeah, sure.
To be quite honest with you, I don't think I don't know if I can agree with that being the biggest problem in the industry. I think there is quite a few other big problems there, but that's definitely a problem, 100%.
Definitely a problem. I think a lot of them should look at franchise models because you've got establishments, you've got systems, you've got processes, the good ones that have invested early. A little bit about us, we piloted our first location in Perth, a flagship location in the city.
So hang on, so just so I can follow your journey properly, because I kind of know through the chats that we had before, but it's really good to get a very good, clear picture of the journey and the foundation. So you, with all your experience and background in the fitness industry and having owned as well several through F45, etc., with all of that, you decided to. What you just basically you exited that area and you decided to set up your own.
Yeah. So if we go right back, I can go through that in some detail if you'd like, but just to get the real full picture. But I grew up in the strength and conditioning space, loved health and fitness, loved personal training. I was part of the New Zealand Institute of Sport. So you kind of go through. When you're a semi-professional rugby league player over there, you can call it, you learn, a skill. So I went into PT, loved it, loved everything about it. Moved to Australia to play rugby league, found out that I wasn't that good at it. And, I had, what have I got up my sleeve? To get into competitive rugby league, like it is a tough game. So got into a little bit more of, enjoying a bit of alcohol. It's the first time out of home, first time out of New Zealand. So, chased the girls and gambled and had a bit of fun for a couple of years. Anyway, that doesn't last for long. And then went into I had that certification, so I became a PT in Subiaco, Perth Fitness First. Started off really successful PT business. I just figured out that I loved it. I got hungry with sales. I became very, very good at sales, very good with people. And I was 19 years old dealing with sort of Subiaco back then had a lot of like young professionals, young lawyers. So I had this market that I had, 50, 60 sessions a week of all these really young, successful people. So I started to I naturally became quite inquisitive with everything I do. Curiosity, always asking questions. I'm always not the dumbest person in the room, but you know what I mean. Like I try to acknowledge the fact that I didn't come from good education, left school really early on. So I have that way where I'm comfortable with that.
That's too smart, because if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, correct. Right? So I was always comfortable knowing that I wasn't a very academically or intellectually very smart in terms of their space, in terms of accounting, lawyers, all that sort of stuff. So I became very good with people. Figured out that you can really hustle your way through a few things. But being good with people and being hardworking and sales, I think it's a very important skill to have, being able to talk and persuade and to make people feel comfortable. So I became a really good PT, did really well with that. Again, looked at straight away within 2 years of a successful PT business, okay, how do I diversify myself? Got apprentices underneath me, and then so I moved into Brookfield Place in the city and built another business, a PT business out of there. And then, client of mine, who was a really good client of mine, really good friend and a mentor of mine still to this day, Aaron Kidd, he just tapped me on the shoulder and he said, this F45 thing's taken off. This is 2015. Would you be interested in jumping on board and doing one with me? So I said, absolutely. So I got a bit of sweat equity in there. So I ended up with about 20 to 25% of the first one. And then, we went across the road from our gym and did the first one in the city. Launched that. I think we were the 36th F45 in the world at that point in time.
Yeah, 2015. That would have been the hottest time.
2016 we launched that one. Then
F45,
we launched another one 9 months later, and it was like the 120th or something. It was this crazy scale. So I loved. I just got to learn the business model that sat behind F45, and I got to learn a lot about, just group fitness. The everything that sits behind that machine was quite interesting. And again, with that inquisitive curiosity I always had and have, we were learning and we were scaling, and we said, all right, let's do another one. Then we did another one, bought a couple of territories. Then Aaron is he is a very, high risk, very high performing individual. And he's just like, let's go up. And we were considering buying the Master F45 for Singapore. So we went up there and tried to get that done. They declined us to do the master, but we ended up buying a few territories up there. And so, again, scaled it into an international space. I went up there and launched the first one with our business partner as well. And, learned how to procure things in new countries and deal with new scale and new opening and new member base, new customers. And so, like, that was interesting. So I learned that. During that period of time, I just despised the workout. I just could not stand it. I thought it was just really... I just could see that there was a ceiling to it to some degree, and I just think, I thought, what's beyond this? So there was a ceiling where the dumbbells were up to 22 kilos, and I'm sure that's a bicep curl for you. So as I could tell that there was a ceiling for the male space, and also felt like their weights-based training, their weights were like cardio to me. So that was like they would do a minute on to get a dumbbell chest press out, and it would take you even a minute to just sometimes get comfortable in your seat, get your dumbbells up. So I looked through and just pulled the entire workout to pieces and thought, I think something's going to happen here. I think that there's no innovation to the product at that time. They weren't innovating it constantly. The classes were repetitive and became quite boring.
That's exactly. Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest problems is that they had a good product.
Yeah.
They launched, they kicked a lot of goals, and that was it.
I'll give you my opinion on F45 maybe at the end of today. I talk about it all the time. Absolutely love the brand. I think what they've done for paving the way for a bit of a floodgates, so to speak, for the noise in the market, like you alluded to earlier. Mm-hmm. But pulled apart the workout. I just felt like there was a lot of people that were gonna reach a ceiling pretty quick. So I was pretty visibly to my business partners not really particularly enjoying. I don't like staying in business if I don't enjoy it. I have to love everything about it. And so, we had a portfolio and sort of got tapped on the shoulder by my business partner and said, hey, look, would you be interested in, someone was interested in buying you out of your position. Would you be interested? And I was like, mate, let's do it in the next 24 hours. Like, get me out of there. Because I also, I wasn't performing in my role to the best of my ability because I wasn't as passionate about what was happening. And so that was. And you've
learned a lot, and you would have been ready into your next move now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that would have been good timing for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I effectively got exited out of that within a week. It was the more money I'd ever had in my life at that point in time. For a young kid, managed to do pretty well out of that, and decided during the time of understanding, during that time where I was going through and conceptualizing the workout, looking at ways and holes, I was already building out S30, which was the name of it at the time. I was already sort of building out how that workout would look, and it was all based around hypertrophy-based, weights-based training, conditioning in a group format with machines and more compound-based lifts, so you can lift heavier. It was this kind of like this next evolution of, say, an F45, and this was back in 2017, so it was pretty early on. And so at that point in time, exited and got paid. Then I went and moved to Bali, and I said, look, I called, Rhett, who's my co-founder. He was involved on a small degree in the F45s and stuff like that, and we sort of said, hey, look, I'm not just doing this. And he was a really successful PT, still is, and he had a really good PT business back here in Perth. And I said, like, look, let's think about this. Would you be interested in coming on board, and let's look at seeing if we can build something. Didn't ever think it would be what it is today. But
what year was that?
This was 2017, so late 2017.
All right.
And then moving into early 2018, I'd say. And I just had no job. I had money, had no job, didn't have anything, and I just said, look, would you be interested in jumping on board with it? And we said absolutely. And I'm going to move to Bali, and I lived in Bali for a year or 9 months. In Canggu, I lived there on a beach, a little hut with a little family.
Terrible life.
Learned the language, learned how to cook, and just got really creative. So I was like, okay, there's the product there. I think there's a gap for the product. And at this point in time, I didn't know that there was other competitors probably doing similar things, in the space at that time. But I was just building out what I thought the next evolution would be, and I also was building out effectively the fall of what we've seen in the last 3 years. of that previous business. So yeah, I got really creative. I lived on the beach. I tried to learn how to surf. I was, partying a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, which is pretty good for Canggu. But when you live there, you kind of, I was training every day. I was super healthy, doing yoga, got into yoga. I started getting into contrast therapy. So I was doing sauna ice every day. And yeah, I lived that life for a good 9 months. And
that's amazing. And you learnt the language as well.
Yeah, I started to do. Yeah, absolutely. It's important when you go up. If you're going to go into a country and you're going to, quote unquote, live there, you've got to give back, and they respect you a whole lot more when you learn and your initiative. And I'm not saying I'm not fluent in by any means, but like I can have somewhat of a conversation slowed down with people, or it's got me out of a few tickets and for no helmets and things like that with those police and things. So I've been able to, as soon as I speak a little bit, they're like, oh, okay, cool, you're not someone that's here just to take the piss. And so I moved over there, conceptualized it, and sort of got creative. That was the main thing, as I was thinking, okay, how do we be a little bit different? How do we be unique? What have we got to do to stand out slightly from say the previous from
so 9 months you basically formalizing your business plan, strategy, ideas, concepts, everything, and then in Bali, and then came back to Perth to open your first one.
Built out so we did a small cap raise, so I got a couple of investors involved, and we put my money in
deployment. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I did a full sort of 3-5 year strategy, which was not what ended up happening, but it was at least we had on in our mind that we weren't doing one. Like I wasn't doing one. It was like 1,000. We've got to do 1,000 of these globally in 10 years. As the goal, because we had done 10. I'd been involved in doing 10, and I've been involved as a franchisee. And at that point in time, it was 1,000. So it was kind of like seems like a nice number, but ambitious and big and global. It had to be global. It had to be US. It had to be kind of, so we kind of put all that together, and then, got the branding, started building out the website, built out the product more, investigated all competitors, looked into branding, spent a lot of time investigating branding. I've become more of a brand. My role in the company now is I am head of brand and the vision of the brand and that those types of things, as well as obviously CEO. But I've always had an eye for design and how things look and feel, and I've always loved that element of things. And so branding was extremely important. So yeah, we came up, I managed to do all the branding with a guy here in Perth, Scott Mello, who did all of our branding. So I did all that while I was living in Bali. And then Rhett was the guy on the ground dealing with the leases, going and checking out spaces and building out the product side of things. And so he obviously built the program off a little bit of around our original thinking around the structure. Came back 2018, built the first one physically with a couple of best mates, me, Tim, and Rhett. We sort of got together. And
which one was your first one?
The flagship in the city, Perth.
In the Hay Street?
Hay Street, yeah, Hay Street. Okay. So that was the first one, was underground. You go downstairs. So we had to, this thing was an old comic book store. So we had to kind of come up with some creative ideas. And, we focused heavily on one of the big things that came from all of our conceptualizing and throwing around in competitor work. But we came up with a way where it was like focused on the sensory system. So when you look at a cafe, or it's just like say an F45, for example, there's only two things that you sort of see. Is like you walk in and you just can visually see the space, and then you get that feel of the workout. The music there was a shitty little radio station. It was just not well put together. They didn't focus on what you see. A cafe, you walk in, you look at the aesthetics, and you taste the food. So there's two things. We wanted to try and stimulate all 5 pieces of the sensory system to create our uniqueness in the marketplace. So we thought about, okay, every S30 workout has a custom-made music track suiting the day and the workout and the speed and the tempo of the workout. So on a Wednesday, it's Get Low, which is a leg day, and that's focused on compound movements, tempo, and some giant set work. And so it's a slow day. So we have a slow 60, 80 BPM track that's custom made by our head of music director, Luke Chan. and it is slow, and it's sort of low trap, new wave rap, and it's kind of, you're just bobbing along. It's just, what you love. And then you go to Friday, which is shoulders, arms, abs. That's called No Scrubs, and that's an R&B Fridays mix. So it's high BPM, 100 to 120, 90 to 120 BPM, and that's just all your nostalgic tracks. And so, you're going through, it's fun, Fridays before the weekend. So we focused on, you would not see Spotify in any of my fucking locations. That is just, for me, that is shit. So I can swear on this thing?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Spotify for me, so you go into, so how are we supposed to be different? So we go, everyone's just got radio station, Spotify, a couple of tracks playing. And so I hate when music goes quiet and then the next track starts. So you imagine in the class, there's 36 people, it's pumping, and then you hear this, and then the next track starts. So like the ending, hated that. So we custom curated the way that before you rock up for a class, we have 15 minutes of custom made hype tracks that are all your favorite songs ever, custom playing while your members are waiting in the tunnel for class. So it's kind of like they're hyping up, they're ready to get in. So we're focusing on that sensory element, which is what you hear. So that there, and then when they come in for demos, it's a slow instrumental. Then the warm up starts to creep up, and then the first track, when you press play, drops with a big banger, and the class is away. So you can control the energy of that experience based on what you can hear.
Everything about it is intense. It's dramatic. It's intense.
Yeah. I'm a dramatic storytelling kind of guy sometimes.
But even when I did, you took me for a couple of tours and a couple of locations, and it's just like, whoa, okay, the lighting, the tunnel that you walk through to get to the main area of the workout, and then the music, and then and the adjustments of the lighting and everything else.
Sure.
And it's full on, right?
Yeah, and it's immersive. It's an immersive experience. It's kind of like, people just work out and they train, and that's it. Whereas we try to create the full end-to-end experience by utilizing and focusing on the sensory experience and the sensory system. So we, the custom track, so that's like Monday, and then Mondays is back-to-back. So you'll have Drake versus Kendrick, you'll have Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B, so it's all custom-made going back-to-back against that. So when we release the marketing around it, people might not like Mondays because it might be a workout that they may not particularly enjoy as much as the other days, but they'll hear that it's Lady Gaga versus Dua Lipa, which is one of our big tracks, and they'll just go, I'll just come for that because I can't miss that. So you kind of play on things like that. Right, yeah. So we focus that on what you hear, and you focus on what you see. So we wanted to take things dark. People feel comfortable, no mirrors. We had different lightings for different days, purple and reds, blue. It was darker. We tried to emulate kind of that nightclub experience because, you want to kind of, when the music's loud, the bass is pumping, it's dark, you feel like you're in a bit of a club. You can be yourself a little bit more. You're a little bit cheekier. When you go to a club, you're not sitting there. It's not bright white. It's like a hospital room. You can be a little cheeky with your friends. You can have a bit of a dance. So it was kind of like fun, and creating that with what you see and what you hear, that element of that, just that funness.
A lot more comfortable. It's not sterile. It's not like fucking floodlights on you and everyone's watching you.
And we figured out that, a lot of especially in the female demographic, some of the bigger females, they would feel more comfortable down there because there's no mirrors. It's a little bit darker. No one's looking at me. I'm not feeling like I might be in my own mind, the center of the room, which, sometimes they might feel that way. So they just felt a little bit more comfortable down there. And same with the guys as well. It also, that light makes you a little bit better. I mean, you go from a 6 to an 8 pretty quick down there in that lighting. So
I'm still going to rip a workout there for sure.
Yeah. So that was what you see, and we wanted it to be dark, different music days, and then we as the business evolved, we integrated a system into our technology stack that controls the lighting and the music, and they actually match each other. So some days when we have our EDM days, which is Tuesday, Thursdays, the BPMs are being matched by the lighting, and then you can have all these kind of cool features and integrations through our magic system.
Are you constantly updating that, Luke? So is this like how often do you update your music and your soundtracks and everything else? Because you can imagine, if I'm training there every week in, week out, month in, month out, I'm hearing the same music, same style.
So if I told you how much I've invested into music, you would you would roll over in your grave. But that's the details. That's what makes you different. That is the detail in it that you've kind of, So we get a live DJ who's a very, very good DJ, one of the best in Perth. He custom makes, a 45-minute track list from start to finish, perfectly blended, everything on key, perfect. That takes an hour of his time to develop the set list, put it together. Then he's got to record it. Then he's got to edit it. Then he's got to export it. It's a 2.5 hour process. And he's got to mix it too, right? So, we were doing we've got over 300 mixes in our mix. So you kind of recycle a couple back through that were for 2 years ago. You come back through now, but we release two new mixes a week every week, and then a live DJ on Saturdays. So
2018. So 2018, you came back to Perth and you hit the ground with your first one in Hay Street, and then after that, how many?
Well,
because you started in Western Australia. Okay.
So 2019, we scaled the first one really successfully. COVID hits 2020, March 2020. So we're open for 1 year.
You're still in your first one?
Still in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes a while to, you've got to get proof of concept. You've got to really look at, you can't start a franchise model, which I'll probably, we'll get to in a sec. But, franchise models don't just start because you've had one thing that you and the founder built. It doesn't work that way. You've got to back it up with, massive investment into manual systems, processes, infrastructure, team, branding, marketing. It's endless technology. So we got the first one done. COVID hits. We don't even think we've got a business anymore. We took our S30 online in a couple of days. So Brett and I put together an online system in 2 days, launched it, and then managed to get us through.
I love it. The speed of that.
2 weeks. But I've got a tech background, which I'll touch on maybe a little bit later. But we were able to basically shut down the Friday, March 2020. I'll never forget it. We went and got a box of Coronas and just got wasted in the gym because we were like, fuck, our life's over. And we built this, 2019, we just finished our first Sweatchella campaign, which is what we called it. We sent 2 people to Coachella. It was the sickest thing ever. Massive 8-week challenge. And we got, we just started the new year. It was pumping. It was the highest members it's ever been. It was just awesome. And then your whole world gets ripped from underneath you. We got wasted, and then we woke up the next day and we basically snuck in because you weren't allowed to leave your home, but we snuck in down to the office. Whoever you are, sue me if you want. Snuck in back to the office and built the system in 2 days and launched it. And I remember I launched it and I went for a run, and I came back and there was over 200 people had signed up to it. People all over Canada, US, onto our online platform. I was like, what the hell? Because we had a lot of people from all over the world following our socials at that time, and still do obviously. But yeah, it was crazy. So because you launched everything online, and I think to myself, well, maybe this is the new business model, which I think everyone probably did at that time. You can scale out the digital realm. So yeah, we managed to do an online training program. We built that out and we just monitored that over a few months, and then we came back. But our business partners, we all came together for a bit of a sort of emergency board meeting. It's at the end when COVID hit, and we were like, what do we do? We all sat there and we said, we've got something special. We don't know exactly what it is, but we have something. What are we going to do about it? And we came together and we all said, okay, to my business partners, Kevin, Scott, and Oscar, we all said, we have to probably now take an investment and look at building out this thing properly and being able to look if we can scale this to 2, 3, 4 locations over the next couple of years and see how that goes. So while we kind of made the decision that we feel like while everyone's probably fighting to keep their single location alive, we went and gone the other way and said, let's gamble that this thing's going to come out and we're going to come out of it. And while we come out of it, we don't want to start when it comes out. We want to start when it comes. We want to launch when it comes out versus go, oh shit, okay, this thing was just a 2-year or 1 year thing. Now let's look at maybe investing into systems and structures. We sort of gambled an investment in time into developing everything, which was a whole lot of money and a big gamble, because you know what it was like back then. You didn't know what the fuck was going on. So we managed to, we decided to gamble. So we gambled effectively, because it was March 20, and then we basically spent a year building out everything from legal manuals, operations manuals, systems, team, to go and to grab what we'd have been able to do in that first one. And then, a member came along before COVID actually hit. She was already interested in, and expressed her interest in wanting to see if she could have one. And she was, so when we came out of COVID, we had already sort of slightly been negotiating and saying, hey, look, this is what we're thinking of doing. And so, she bought the first one. 2021 was the first one. So March 2021 is when our Mount Lawley location launched, which was still in the middle of COVID. And Mia and Mark did a fantastic job, because Perth was a little bit protected. We could still do sort of some things, and then it was like 2 months and you were shut, and then you're open. It was still
on the better end.
It was
everybody else.
It was tough to do.
Yep.
It was still tough to build a business, because you were just it was so risky and so uncertain. But they backed us. They backed us in, and they launched a super successful launch. And that was our first proper franchise location, and still to this day, still one of our best performing locations as well.
We're talking about it's only in like 3 years.
So that was 2021 March.
3 years
to now.
Till now.
Yeah, there's over 30 sold, nearly 30 sold. So
30, and not just in Australia.
You've got. We have
other international locations. You're in New Zealand.
Yeah, we've sold a master franchise into New Zealand, so that's got 40 or 40-ish. To do over the next 5 or 6 years. We've sold a master into Singapore as well. So there's 26 to do up there over the next 5-6 years. We have locations in Sydney, 2 or 3 more opening in Sydney, in Queensland, New Zealand, and nearly 12 plus or so in Perth.
How did Sydney receive that? You would have loved that.
Oh, man.
I mean, Sydney or Melbourne. I mean, this is not... I can see that going off in Sydney and Melbourne more than...
What about New York? That's where I get quite excited. And I think like our brand, I feel, it's tough, because it's hard to build something in Perth that is a global scalable product, in my opinion. It's like you don't have a whole lot of population there's a lot more noise over there. You've got, people will probably kill me, but there's a lot of better talent over there, a lot more volume of high quality talent over there.
It depends on who's building, right? I mean, you went to Bali and for 9 months.
Yeah, and so I just feel like in the east side, it's kind of like if you build something over there, you can multiply it quicker. That's kind of where I'm sort of getting at, is kind of like when you're tucked away in Perth, you're not really known. So when you go over there, it's kind of like what are you guys? Who are you guys? But Surry Hills is one of our best performing studios. It's called an S30 Express.
So it is Sydney.
Surry Hills
was your
Surry
best
Hills. Yeah, one of them.
Studio.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Surry Hills. It's also the first S30X, which is we've built the standard model, but we've built a model that's about 30-40% smaller. So everything's the same. It's a shorter class. It's a smaller studio. The capex is about 30% less, so you less expenditure to start one, and the opex is about 30% less as well.
This is where I want to dig in a little bit now behind the name, and what does it stand for? How did you come up like S30, and now there's S30X?
Yeah,
like what does it all mean?
Yeah, okay.
Where did it come from?
And this is good. This is an interesting topic, because it's like the brand's evolved so much. So originally it was called Set 30 Training. And when we come up with the product, it was 30 sets that you would do in a class. And that's limiting yourself. But again, we built this in 2017, 18 when we were playing around with it. So I just said Set 30 Training, and that's because it was 30 sets, and that's just what stuck. We never really, me and Rhett, we're like yin and yang. Like we don't spend a lot of time on whether or not that's a great name or not. We're just like Set 30. We're like, that's nice. I particularly loved the typography, and when you capitalized Set 30, it's the S and the O were rounded both sides, in the top and bottom, so it was kind of like a nice looking was the way it looked from a logo standpoint was nice. So I was okay, the set 30, and then training was when F45 was using the word training. So we're like, okay, we've got to take that on. And then I that was what it originally was. And so it was mainly around sort of doing and completing 30 sets. And because we were in the weights realm predominantly then in terms of weight training, sets rolls with weights, you get it, you do sets. So that's where we kind of got set 30. And then it just naturally abbreviated to S30. And then we dropped the training because we wanted to be a little bit different and we wanted to be a bit more boutique. So we kind of studio, so S30 studio. And then it's kind of now it's actually just
sexy
S30
as well.
What, sexy? Okay, that's nice. I hope to think so. So then it kind of just abbreviated from S30 studio to S30. And so I think, through time everyone just says, I go to S30, or where do you go? I go S30. No one goes S30 studio or S30 training. So now my business partner, Kev, who he's really pushing for us to kind of, really explore the X model more because it is different. No one does 30-minute sessions. Everyone does. Majority of the people in this noise that you sort of talking about. So that's what the
X model is 30 minutes.
The X model is 30, but it is just as hard. So what we did was...
So it still has the 30 in it. It's not sets, but it's minutes.
Correct. Well, just to be. So everyone thinks is it 30 minutes. So everyone goes to me, what does S30 stand for? And I have to go off and tell that story, which I've just told you, but a bit shorter. And they go, it's not 30 minutes. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually 45. And then it's like, okay. So it's kind of a little bit confusing when you just, whereas functional 45 training is F45 abbreviated, which is 45 minutes. So I'm not going to call it S45. Like, come on. So anyway, Kev's sort of come and he's like, S30X is a very successful model. So we built it for highly densely populated areas. High rents, but you want to get into a smaller space, but really well thought out for us. So we actually manipulated. We've got 3 models effectively. You've got the S30X, you've got the S30 Standard, and you can do the XL, which is a 48-person class. So the S30X, we could put it into squares. We can find and fit.
So hang on, and then the XL. So this is all like a franchise kind of option, or this is that's part correct. Of every franchise?
No, that's correct. So you go and buy a car. I got a Tesla, so you might buy the Model S, you might buy the Model Y for your family, or you might okay. So you might go into Singapore.
So it depends on the postcode, location, demographics, everything else.
Correct, and also rents. So you go into Singapore. Singapore is 100 and Singapore is really high rent. Difficult to find anything, so 200 squares plus, or 2,000 square foot, or whatever you call it. So we kind of had to come up with a model that was everything around it's the same. You just, instead of, you don't have a flashy tunnel, you've just got an L-shaped tunnel. So you still have this effect of a tunnel. The lighting's the same, the music's the same, the workout is the same.
I love that.
But it's harder. So we've increased the workout by say 20-30%, the output. So instead of in the standard, you've got an S30. So in the standard, you might do tag in, tag out assault bike sprints. So we might have to do 10 calories. So I do 5, you do 5. In the X model, it's 14 calories. So I've got to do 7, you've got to do 7. But the workout's shorter, for example. The overall workout shorter, but the target and the rep ranges and the things you're trying to achieve are higher. So you've got to go faster and harder, and the trainers train you harder, but you're done quicker. So that's the result of kind of doing it harder but shorter. And so when you come out of it, you get the exact same, I wouldn't say the exact same results, but you get close to the same results as a standard. So
absolutely.
The way the world's moving and the literature coming out.
You can do an insane workout in 30 minutes.
Correct. So the way that, my business partner Kev, he's a doctor and he reads a lot into the stuff, and he's like, everything I read is people want everything quicker. They want in and out. They want to think. So we built S30X, which is it's short for Express, which will probably drop at some point. Because it has caused us problems because people think it's a
adult shop.
No. People think it's a lesser product. They don't think it's as good as a standard because it's got an Express on there. They think, that's like a shitty version of the product.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just in their mentality, especially up into the Singapore space, they kind of go, I don't want to be, inferior is the word I was looking for. Sorry. I think it's an inferior product because they just think because it's smaller. And I'm like, well, it's actually one of the highest performing ones on paper. It actually is less money to run. It's also cheaper to start. So having those kind of options to fit in, and then, you go up to our Darwin location, that's going to probably be an XL model because it's over 250 squares. So you can have more people in there. So having those submodels of your main model is innovation that we're doing in the space where, you might come in and, an S30 costs between 300 to 350K for a standard. You might come in and grab the X because you don't quite have that capital, but you really want it, but you might go, okay, I've got 250 to 300, so I can do the X, and so.
But it's also a lot more suited to the area.
That's correct. Yeah.
You're operating in, right?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Love
it.
Yeah,
that's the name. That's a little bit around the name. So where I was going through before was kind of Kev is more keen to explore whether that becomes just S30 because hey, we've got even the narrative can go, we've actually got a concept called S30 because it's it's a 30-minute workout. There's also the 45 version and the XL version.
So just quickly, as my brain here is going all over the place, but so from a business owner perspective, so if let's just say I open up the XL, which sounds like the most comprehensive.
It's the bigger one.
The
one.
The biggest one you
more.
got,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Am I able then to run everything else below that in there?
Yeah.
Or
yep. So with our technology, you can go, and then we have.
But I couldn't do it the other way around.
Correct.
Course, right?
So the X. So in the city, we could switch to run 2 X classes between 11:30 and 1 p.m. for the shift workers and the city workers. So we can turn that on, but you can't go the other way. So that kind of suits city. You might be a standard, but then you might want to run because you get more people through the door. So you normally run 3 classes in the morning on the standard. You run 4 in the X because they're shorter. So you get a higher volume of turnover, more people, more flexibility, people that want more times, things that suit them. So that's some of the innovation we're sort of doing in the model of the business model.
Brilliant. So now we understand the name, we understand everything else and where you're at. Tell me what other different things and what innovation that you're incorporating or you've developed or you're doing in S30 that's different.
Yeah. One of the there's a few things, and this is the problem. Like I'm a big innovator. I don't want to over-innovate in terms of not focusing on the core product because that is what your customers need. But I think we're delving in what's called our open access. So because S30 has machines that a normal 24/7 gym has, lat pull down, pendulum squat, leg press, hack squat, leg extension, hamstring curl, lat pull down, seated row.
So I can go in there for a weight training session.
Yeah.
I don't have to actually join a class and do...
Well, that's where I was getting to. So you actually have the ability for after our access to go and actually just be an open access member and not be an S30 group fitness member. So if you don't particularly love the classes, but you want a little bit more of a private setting, exclusive, only 20 or 30 people in there in 1 hour, a 1 hour time slot, you go to some of the gyms around here. Like I go to a Revo in North Perth and I walk out because it's just people are packed on top of each other like sardines. Everyone's on the equipment. It's just like I can't get anything done. So we've opened up and innovated the open access concept through our tech where you can scan in outside of a class time, follow along an S30 workout that's on your app, listen to the S30 music so you got the same experience, and then be able to do an S30 workout or your own workout or any program you'd like to follow inside an S30 because we've got everything you need in there. You've got a squat racks, you've got 12 squat or 6 squat racks, you've got all the machines,
barbells,
everything that you need,
dumbbells,
barbells, dumbbells, everything you need. So we've built, and we didn't know this. So this is again sort of innovation that we're doing for our franchisees and improving and innovating the business model. But the way that we're protected against, say, a Fitstop, a BFT, any other one or an F45 is that they don't have the machines. So we use the machines in our classes, which is another point of difference of what we do. It's low impact. It's isolated on muscle groups. It's focused. And then so we're like, wow, we've actually got something unique and different here. How about we look at opening up into just exclusive hours? So actually, our one in New Zealand is the first 247 S30. So you can actually scan in and go outside of any class time 24/7 and do an S30 workout outside of a class. what that potentially can do for your revenue model, because
Huge.
you
pick it up. That's another stream of income.
It's
completely
massive, and because we can only capitalize on so in a class.
You're giving away trade secrets here.
Oh, look, it's already out there, but and this is the thing. I don't care about copying. It's hard to copy what you can't copy what I.
It
what
doesn't really
S30
matter
has.
because
Yeah,
by the times that if you have that mindset where you're constantly able to reinvent yourself,
totally,
and keep evolving and moving forward,
So-
no one's going to catch up.
Group fitness, boutique fitness, you've got 5 classes a day, 6 or 7 max time to generate revenue, and you're paying rent for 24 hours a day, obviously. So 24 minus 7, not really good with math. That's 17. So how do you capitalize on the other 17 hours?
You're the first operation of that kind. I'm pretty sure. I don't think
I believe
there is anything
I have to fact check that,
that
but I'm
started
not sure.
with that style that ended up as well.
Pivoting.
Yeah, and having the options to cater for 24/7.
Yeah, and the Express
access
and the
as
X
well.
and the XL
The equipment
as well.
and everything. I mean, that's
I think I don't think. I'd have to check in the boutique space. I don't think so. But again, like we're not even thinking like that. We're just like,
It doesn't really matter. I mean, I haven't heard of anything like that. This is
so that's again like trying to capitalize and bring opportunity and revenue to our franchisees that they would never have otherwise had if they went to a competitor of ours. I'm not saying that model was perfect. There's tweaks we've got to do to it. It's not there. It's not optimized and optimal yet, but we're already in that space. So we've already got our 24/7 system that we've partnered with that allows that. We've looked into all of the obviously occupational health and safety stuff. We've looked at how it integrates through our API, insurances. It's not a whole lot that you have to tweak and change, but the upside is massive. Now we've got to try to optimize the marketing around it and actually get into that kind of like sick and tired of sitting and waiting for equipment. And it's cheap, like it'd be $14-15 a week. Because you want to try and compete with some of the bigger gyms as well. But exclusive time. People are working from home, going at 11, 10, 2, 3. So that's one thing that we're doing.
other points of difference.
So we're just delved into the recovery space. So our Darwin location opening up is the first that has its ice cold therapy. Obviously, being in that space, I've got a sauna and ice at home. Moving into the moving into the wellness.
I've turned my apartment into a recovery lab.
Same. My backyard is what I call. What do I call it? I call it the. Fuck! I can't believe I forgot the name of it. What do I call it? Oh, it'll come to me. So again, like, it's kind of how the story all comes together. But I fell in love with contrast therapy in 2018, where it wasn't really massively mainstream. And the benefits, I would do it every day for an hour in Bali. You'd go sauna, you'd go ice, you'd go sauna, you'd go ice, you'd go steam, and I just was like, I left this thing on this euphoria on my scooter. I'd be like, oh, this is the best feeling in the world.
Floating, literally.
Floating. Yeah. So, naturally, we wanted, okay, well, this is a fast-moving beast. How do we integrate this wellness aspect into, some of our locations moving forward? So, sometimes you'll find an S30 and there's an extra 100 squares that you just can't do anything with, and then it's kind of like, how do you bolt on an element where there's another revenue stream where you have access? The thing we're doing with recovery that's a little bit different, though, is we're going to try recovery classes. So everyone hates the ice. So you book in 8 people. A trainer's in there. Well,
that's the whole point, right? You can't love it.
Yeah, but if you get coached through it.
Yeah.
If you get coached through it, so it's harder to go in there. You're not as inclined to jump in the ice if you're solo.
By yourself.
The super turbo guys are. Yep. But if you go, hey, let's book in for our fire and ice session or whatever you call it. We don't have a name for it right at the moment, but you're going in and you're doing a class on a weekend where it's a recovery focused class, and you might get foam rollers out, a massage gun. You might spend 8 minutes doing some stretching, then you go in 8 minutes sauna, and then you go in the ice, and you do this sort of circuit with a group of 12 to 15 people. It's just more value we're adding, and entering into the recovery space. So it's not super different than a lot of people are delving into it, but just bolting it into our model and making sure that we are staying on those trends.
That's brilliant. Now, just to sidetrack a little bit there, in your opinion, what do you think as well, since we're on the topic of all these recovery labs, and I mean, these started popping up everywhere as well. I mean, everyone started
no regulation. This is the thing, and this is probably
until
it comes. But this kind of gets back to your original question. I haven't really probably answered it at all, but the saturation in the space, it's easy to get into, is effectively a problem. Not the only problem, but it is a problem. And then same with the sauna and ice. In contrast therapy, it's unregulated. There's poor hygiene standards out there. Like these will go up and they'll come down
in containers now. Like literally.
I mean, it's interesting. There'll be some standards that'll come in soon. I think the spaces. I don't think it's just a fad. I think it'll stay. I think people will love. I think it'll calm down. I think again, trying to bring a class format in is important, because if you don't have connection through time, the consumer becomes smarter and they'll go and buy one at their home, like I have. Like I've got a 3-degree ice bath and I've got an 8-barrel sauna. So I started.
I don't like to go in public and jump from here to there, whatever. I want to do it at my convenience, my time.
That's correct. But there are a lot of people out there that in the that market that might want to do it with friends or not comfortable, and they're not going to go and spend, like mine system's like 20 grand, so no one's going to go and spend that money. But for me, it's important for my mental health, my well-being, and my family.
But a lot of people, we're social creatures as well. Like we like to do things in groups and
correct. So I think no one's touching on the group, the community aspect of sauna and ice, like going in and having a class format. So that's probably giving away a bit of trade secret, but we're going to delve into that space and probably just try to create these weekend or Thursday night, Friday night recovery classes.
Excellent.
Where you kind of take 20 people through the experience. So it's a little bit different than coming. You can still come in solo and book in times, but then there's also these class elements that keep the connection and the community together. So that, I think, is part of some of the things that we're trying to do a little bit differently. Something
that and I'm not impressed easily with CRMs and stuff like that, and systems, and it's got to be good, because I've been using systems for a very long time, right? I remember developing my very first CRM before even people knew what CRM stands for, right? So when we sit in your office, in your headquarters, and just had a quick demo. Do you mind talking about that
absolutely,
now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so going through that demo was very quickly in the first 5 minutes when I realized that, holy shit, he's onto something very cool here. That's what everybody should have been doing. I'll because I don't know where it's at now. You're actually you're finalizing that when.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So there's a part of my story I missed just because it wasn't relevant to fitness.
And just quickly, I mean that is the core.
That's the nucleus.
I mean, that's the heartbeat, right?
That is the heartbeat, and it's all part of this play. It's all part of our plan. It's all part of the strategy. I don't think a business has innovated a technology stack like we have and spent 2 years developing it and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars as early. We started building our technology at 3 locations. And I think, a lot of people still to this day are building, are just using third-party softwares. But for me, I wanted to be able to one day control the entire user experience globally. And that was extremely important to me and the journey of the business.
And the quality
control. So doing that and innovating that in that early stage was extremely risky because we still hadn't proven concept at that point in time. But then you're going and sinking heavily, you cash burn heavy into a tech stack that you might not even have a franchise model in a year.
It's pretty obvious you're a pretty risky kind of guy.
I have taken a few. No, look.
No, I mean calculated risks.
Yeah,
you're like,
calculated risks.
We have to.
You've got to, to get to where we are now, and then now to go and do a master franchise in New Zealand and do Singapore, exploring potential, things in US, or, we're talking with Malaysia, and, the questions that people come from that is like, oh, how do you do it? And you go, well, we actually invested in it. So again, we did gamble, absolutely. But I take my hat off to my business partners, all of them, for allowing me to run with that vision. And I do hope, and it will pay dividends for them one day.
That's a lot of confidence and trust.
It is a lot of confidence. I have a great my business partners and shareholders, we haven't fought at all. Couple of little bickers here and there, but like we're a great team. I'm leading the company. I'm the CEO of the company. I'm on the board. They let me take control of the vision of the business, where it goes, but I have to go through channels. I never make decisions. We've never make a decision because I say so. We'll go down a road because I'll express a business case and I'll say, hey, I think we need to explore this, and then I go, there's processes and procedures that we go through, which I've learnt along the way. I did do a couple of early on, drastic decisions that, weren't the right ones, but, we've learned to put a framework around me effectively to allow me to innovate and run, but within constraints, obviously. But yeah, I've got a great team. So I'm really and they have made a couple of gambles on me and I think hopefully it is going to probably pay off. But into the tech world, early on, I developed a technology between the PT and the F45. There was a little gap I missed there, but I had an idea where PTs they use multiple things to run their business. It's really scattered. There's 5-6 pieces of technology. This is back in 2014. 23 years old. I said, God, there is a better way for me to manage my business. So I developed an iPad technology. I went and raised $500,000. At a 24-year-old with a pitch deck and a sales deck. I went traveling around, a few people, got a lot of no's. I think it was about 400K, sorry. But so came together and I pitched them this concept about an iPad technology that a PT would run and manage their business off. Payments. As soon as you walk in the door, it would charge you late fees. It would charge you member management system, email integration, SMS, everything, tax, GST.
Payment system integrated
integration into the
so you're not
software.
actually having to subscribe.
Well, cash. It's all cash
party,
in PT. So back then, 50% of the time you're taking cash, and then you walk past the shop, and you're like, "Oh, those look like some nice shoes. I'm gonna buy them." So instead of paying tax, I would just use cash from my PT, and I would buy stuff. And so when you become used to that, you're only declaring 50% of your revenue. So you're making, say, whatever, 50 grand a year to the tax office, which is nowhere near you need to have a future in being a PT, right? So it was a cowboy space. And so I wanted to create a system where we could manage that better. So I actually built in an API into the software, managed all payment systems, payment integrations, billing software, refunds, even forecasting future revenues, and just kind of built this nucleus, this machine for PTs. My problem is that I built this beautiful system, but I figured out that not everyone wanted every piece of it. They only wanted certain parts. So I was really young, naive, didn't do things properly, didn't go out and get user feedback, didn't do focus groups, built the machine, but I didn't sort of figure out what they really wanted. Long story short, unfortunately, we had to shut that company down. We couldn't scale it quick enough because, we only get paid per transaction. So we used to take a $2 transaction fee. So you need like 10,000 trainers doing 200 members to start really generating net revenue. So when you've got a big tech house, and you've got teams, and because I'm not a tech developer specific myself, but I've managed the tech team, I couldn't build the code myself, so I couldn't bootstrap it. So we were heavily burning cash. And then that failed. So that was a really dark day. I had to shut that down. But what I learned from that was, okay, how do I bring all of that into S30? So if you've built a franchising model, you're monopolizing the market because you're a franchisor. What we say, franchisees, they have to use the systems that we integrate with. So this time around, we thought, okay, if we want to build a cheaper option than what our current franchisees are having to use, an S30 specific system that manages everything to do with billings, bookings, linking different studios, transferring to different studios, even potentially passporting around different locations. We wanted to be able to control that experience and have it all branded S30. And so we took all that in, all the knowledge, all of my IP early on, and my business partners said, I think we've got to do this. So we basically took all the IP from back then, and then I didn't give up on that idea. I kind of went off and did the F45s thing, and I came and scaled out S30, and I thought, okay, I can take everything I've learned there and drop it now into S30, because instead of, if we have 200 locations at 200 members, they all must use our S3 system because it's the S30 proprietary
And that's
system.
another
that we've built.
business on its own.
And that's an entity, that's a business on its own.
Yep.
So instead of, I couldn't, and that's the thing about me, I'm quite good at, one of my things is like, I don't give up on something if I go, well, it didn't work that way because I couldn't scale it quick enough, because you've got to go out to sell to 200 trainers or 10,000 trainers. That's going to take a lot of time. Let's build a product that we own and can control, and that we can ensure that our franchisees use. That is better. It's more specific to our programming and our product, and then we can control that entire experience. So now we're building out things where, you can invite you can sit there and you're sitting and having a drink with your friend at night, and like, what are you doing tomorrow? And you're like, I'm going to S30. Do you want to come? One button, it's invited your friend in there in the class with you with a click. That's stuff that we're building out. Whereas currently, it's 27 clicks to sign up to S30. I think it's like your mother's fucking maiden name, your cat's sister's 4 passwords. It's just an absolute nightmare, and I hate it. So we've innovated in that space. Even looking into, we talk about some AI stuff that we're building and integrating. We're just now, I've got a amazing young developer that's come on board. Our development team is all under 25 years old, so they're all really young and innovative in the space and leading the
So
space.
you've got in-house development team?
Yeah, everything's in-house. So we don't do anything outside of Australia. We build all through internally, and we've been developing technology for about 3 years.
And I mean, how do you stay on top of that? It's got to be costly, man. That's very expensive. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know many companies that can say exclusively they're all in-house in Australia here.
Well, again, this is coming back to probably some of your original sort of questions around. There are a lot of people in the franchise space that do not do things properly. They don't have the systems and infrastructure. They don't invest in technology. They don't invest in teams. So when they launch, they're launching without the systems and processes to go behind them. They're scaling out too fast to a point where they don't have everything set behind them for the success of that franchise location. So
I've already seen the system when you put on that demo for me, and I got to tell you, very impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into all the details of the system and features and everything else because we'll be here forever, right?
Yeah.
But I love the user experience. I'll look at the screen and I know exactly where I need to go. Very easy. It's not cluttered. It's the integration of everything, all the options and the future possibilities as well. The bolt-on stuff that you've got. Very impressive.
The big one that we're doing when you talk about what makes us different, even not just so much from the experience of a customer, but as a franchisee, we've built in our own AI system that calls every lead, takes them through. They're in S30, and I'll show you a demo of this one day. I don't think I got around to that. But any lead that comes through, they'll call them, talk them through everything about S30, just perfect Australian accent, on par, has humour, everything, will take you through the whole
I've seen demos of this AI. It's scary, actually.
Books them into classes. So like today I got a report, 6 people were booked into class through our AI call bot. So now we've got a campaign coming up called SweatFest, where we've got 6,000 people in our database in the city. It goes through and calls through, 500 a day, and it goes, hey Ray, haven't seen you back in the studio. How you going? Just letting you know we've got SweatFest coming up. Here's a free 21-day pass. Come into the studio. And you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, you know what? That's fine. And all good. Here we are. You're booked in now. Come see you tomorrow. Nuts. All done. So you're sitting there and you're taking the load off all the managers, where they can focus on community building. You're taking the load off people actually remembering as well. To it's the biggest time-consuming thing for a manager.
I need a PA for my PA.
Yeah, and so managers for us they were the biggest pain points, where they weren't calling leads, they weren't going through that processes. So it just takes a bit of load. And I'm not saying that a manager doesn't do any of those anymore, but we split test. So we go, okay, 50% of leads go to our Eden AI bot, and then 50 go to the manager. And so you kind of just share the load a little bit. And through time, when this machine starts to learn more and become more robust, and it starts to get the system becomes bigger, it'll go 75 to Eden and 25 to the manager. And eventually the manager will focus purely on retention, customer experience, community activations, and then the business, every lead coming through, is being called, it's being treated properly, it gets booked into class correctly. Bring a towel. Do you have a friend? If you've got a friend, bring her with you. I've booked her in too. So the AI system does all that. And that is just, I don't know anyone in the boutique fitness space that's even touched the sides of that. So,
and yeah, you didn't even touch on that. But you know what I love as well, the speed. I mean, when was it we were in your HQ looking at that? That's not that long ago. That's
2 months, I think, maybe.
Less even.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
And now you actually successfully deployed that system now, because it wasn't any, you were still finalizing bits and pieces back then, yeah?
Yeah, so the first system, it's in our flagship location with 30 people right now, the member management software, and the AI software is already functioning, and that's running in our flagship location as well. So we pilot everything in the flagship down there. And then because it doesn't work perfectly all the time, so people are like, the thing is with AI is in 2 years' time, right now people are like, are you a bot? I can have a feeling you're a bot, and then it goes, you got me, I am a bot. But anyway, I'm a little bit more smarter than anyone you're going to probably talk about on the phone about S30. So anything you need to know, talk to me now, because it's the same thing. And that's what really tricked in my mind, because I think a lot of people, it's like, well, I don't need to talk to a human to get. All I want to know is, tell me about the product. Why is it good for me?
I want information. I want information. I want it fast.
Correct. And so they just do all that.
Yeah.
And so I think in 2 years' time, when this thing, again, a bit of a gamble, but this thing is kind of like light years ahead of where anybody else might be touching the sides of in our competitors, is that we've got this system that's like, just flying, and people are going to be more knowledgeable in the space of just talking to a bot, texting a bot, talking to a bot. And so just being in that space, they're going to be more comfortable knowing that, hey, I talk to a bot, majority of the time when it comes to just information-dense stuff about something I need to know, because you prefer to probably just talk to something that's going to give me the direct information, tell me why it's great.
And this is the gold as well of actually, this is some of the good stuff of having your own in-house development team.
Correct.
At your finger, accessible.
Yeah, I'm a very collaborative, creative guy. I'll pull guys into my office, and we'll get my whole office as a whiteboard. Like, we've got wallpapers that are whiteboards. So I'm a whiteboard guy. We get up and we innovate. We go, okay, how do we do that? The payment flow's got to change there. That's got to, let's test that, trial that, go and throw it in the system for 2 days. Let me know how many calls came back. And you can't do that. With third-party people in, different Philippines and other places, that you don't have that collaborative energy.
No, and you don't have that team energy as well, and it's infectious, right?
Correct.
And walking into HQ there it was very obvious at hello from outside the front. There was actually, a few of your
couple of
people there,
Yeah. We've got
standing around having coffee or tea, whatever, straight away, smiles and the energy in there, open space.
My team are my team are.
I love the setup you got there.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's I love office, and a lot of, I'm not a big work from home guy. I never will be. I think an office should be a place where you come, you innovate. I do know. I mean, we're at a very tense time. We've got 8 locations opening in 3 months. It's tense, so I do get that we do allow 1 day a fortnight where you can go from home and just get out of the office and just reset, which I think's fine, and no one has to keep up with some of the pace that I probably go at, and it's my business, my company, so I need to remind myself that.
But when you create a space in the office where it's actually it's a space to play as well and feel good, everyone's feeling good, the energy, the vibe is good, it makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But then there is tense times as well in there where we've hitting deadlines, we've got to get done, things aren't working, but we are running on a budget, and we can't, we're not Google, so we can't all just start playing ping pong all day. But it is a fun space, and I want to create a fun space where everyone, enjoys their work and they love coming. But I was more so getting at was, like, I've got a team that's extremely passionate about the brand. Like, our team love working for a scaling business. They might not love certain days or interacting with certain franchisees or stakeholders, or it is
human
tough.
nature, right?
It is tough.
Everybody goes through that.
But I have to take my hat off to them, like the amount of the work that they output for me and our team, the hours that they work, and the dedication and the loyalty they have is amazing. And they all absolutely love, like, my athletic team. A lot of them are young. A lot of people said to me, "Is like, fuck, you got such a young team." Some of the guys are sort of under 20. Like, there's people that are sort of 27, 26 and under, leading roles. Like our head of programming is 23 years old, and he runs and does. He creates programs for thousands of people a day. That's pretty fascinating. But I've backed them in.
To pick, the superstars.
Yeah, I do have a talent. I do have an eye for talent. I do have an eye for picking some good talent. Like our young developer, he was a member of ours. I said to him one day when I was coaching him, I said, "What do you do?" And he goes, "I'm a tech developer, and I just exited a tech company, so I'm actually currently got no job, and I live at the end of Shafter Lane." And my brain started just wired because I said, "Do you have 10 minutes after class?" And so I pulled. He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I need you to come with me." I brought him up to the office on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So I pulled him out of the office. Pulled him out of the office. I said to him, "This is what I'm building. This is 2 years ago. This is what I'm building." This was our first piece of technology release, which is the streaming technology, which basically controls the programming, the music, the lighting, the advertising in every location globally. So we actually built. He actually came in. I put it all together like Rayman on a board, and because he's a young guy and he likes training, you can connect. Whereas the typical developers are, that typical stereotype. It's hard to connect with them. Do they get it? Whereas he was. So I told him everything that we're doing, and he started 2 days later for me full time, and he loved it. He's like, "This is the place I want to be," and he's built pretty much all of our tech. He's built out the streaming system.
Wow.
It kind of controls the global workouts and all the music and lighting, and all the advertising as well.
It.
So yeah,
I love it. All right. Well, look, let's go into a different space now, which I'm really interested in, and that's what did you call it? The Fit Festivals?
Oh, FitFest, yeah.
I
forgot about that. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And in particular, I like how you done it, Luke. From just looking at what you've done with your first one, right? It was tasteful. You didn't cut corners. There was nothing cheap about it, right? It was really cool event. I don't know if you made any money out of it, because they're really, really hard.
Full transparency, we did not make any money out of that first one.
It's a hard gig,
and I don't anticipate making money out of the second one. But it's not about making money. You've got to go backwards to go forwards. I'm friends with not friends with him, but I've been acquainted with the Asia Pac CEO of Hyrox. And I told him about FitFest, and he's an amazing guy. We got talking, and the first 3 or 4 is deep losses, but you're not going to make a hit overnight. You've got to, again, that was a gamble. Another one. You're gonna think I'm a gambler, aren't you? But
no.
It was a calculated one.
You know what I love? You got to make it look good.
Yeah,
I mean, make it good.
Yeah,
But
we had a team that was involved as well as that. Don Duo, Simon Crosland, and Levi. They came on board. They knew the vision. You know what? They came to me. This is a funny story, but we were having a few beers at Stables in the city, and we were drinking, and they're like, "Fuck, we got to do something together." And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, because they're in events and PR and big stuff. So I was like, he runs Suited and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, he goes, "Well, what's a concept?" And I pitched him FitFest over 4 beers. We got drunk. We sat there for 4 beers. We ended up at his house till 4 a.m. in the morning. But I pitched him FitFest. I said, "This is what I want to do. It has to be a workout that runs from start to finish, 5 hours, where you continuously come in the start of the snake and you end the snake, and you just go on, and then you go on, you get a drink, and then there's a bar. It has to be turned into it runs for 5 hours, and then it turns automatically into a festival of live DJs, theatrics, lighting in the middle of the city." And I basically come up with the whole concept over 4 or 5 hours, and they'll just we'll get sponsorship for it, we'll do it. So then I had to take the concept back to my partners. I just can't just go and do that. And I said to them, "Guys, this is what I think would be something interesting to do." And there was benefits. There's the main benefit is brand awareness for S30 as a whole. So franchisees benefit from people knowing about the brand. We sold a franchise from it. So there was someone that came in and goes, "Oh my God, this is the sickest thing ever. I want to buy one. I want to be involved in the brand." So there was other sequential sort of things that brought revenue in that weren't specifically catered to the specific.
This sells that.
This sells that. So I'm always a guy that thinks that way, where you've got to go, okay, well, that's going to cost that. The probability of losing money out of is X, but the benefits is Y, and the benefit is Y that our franchisees are going to probably have 20% uplift in new member inquiries. You're going to have X amount uplift in franchise sales, your brand awareness and activations.
Look at the noise you'll be making as well every time you're on one of those. But I love the detail and the fine details and the execution of every task. And I've got eye for detail. Right,
that's good.
And I looked at a lot of the stuff, a lot of the footage and images and videos. And it's just I'm looking forward to the next one. And that's coming up in
it's coming up next year,
February, March. Is it? Yeah.
It's a concept that I wanted to have a sub brand. It's a sub concept of our brand because again, what are we doing differently to innovate? I looked at like High Rocks, I looked at CrossFit, and I looked at other things and said, okay. And even F45 back in the day, they used to do the playoffs where you would do a workout where it would bring the community together. I also wanted to challenge the other concepts. So we had CrossFit, F45, BFT, FitStop all come and challenge the S30 Sweat Series workout, or so. It was almost like challenging the status quo a little bit. It's always everyone's so distant and sort of like I'm not going to go and do your thing, and But I sort of went out there and sort of connected with a lot of them because we're somewhat acquainted and friends, and hey guys, come give our workout a go, come give it a crack. So we put up a big prize pool as well. It was $15,000 in cash. So we got a lot of CrossFit people there. We got a lot of competitors in the FitStop space, BFTs, F45s came down and got involved, and that it was a good way to connect, and sort of that was our workout that they wanted to challenge at. My vision with it is to take it now globally and across Hong Kong, Singapore, Gold Coast, Bondi, do Sweat FitFest Bondi, FitFest in Victoria, Melbourne, FitFest through New Zealand, and it becomes its own thing. But it's got to be a party at the end. It's got to be a full festival. Like it can't just be. So this one we're building in like nice custom showers so you can do the workout, hang out, and then get prettied up. You don't have to go home, because what killed us last time was you stayed and then you went home and then you were pretty gassed and probably tired, and you sort of got there and I've got to come back to the city. It was hard, so we're kind of getting these
exciting thing. It's just right there. You just finish and you're at the bar.
Yeah, correct. So
mingling with everyone. It's
So doing that, Dubai and getting it as a global concept. That is a sub concept of our main one is another element. So that there, hopefully one day. It might not make money the next one, and the third one it might start to turn a profit, and then it becomes something that is probably could be bigger than S30. It could be a whole standalone concept.
I don't know about you, but I'm backing it.
Yeah, I think
I reckon if you keep
you got
going,
some money in your pockets, you can back it.
We'll talk about that after the show. But no, certainly I'm excited, and so it's 100%. You got your next one in March. That's already locked in.
We're working on
it's on the
date,
cards.
Yeah.
It's
working on the date. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's Yeah. So it's fun.
Excellent. So, how do I sign up?
How do you sign up?
To go and
the waitlist will go off.
I don't know about you. Yeah. I will see if
I'll
have a look at your classes and I'll see if I. When do you train? I'll come and smash a workout with you.
Yeah. I'm in the city. I'm going down to Rockingham tomorrow. It's their birthday. Their first birthday, so I'm down there tomorrow. But I mainly train at the flagship in the city, and I try to pop to a couple close by. South Perth's pretty close, Mount Lawley, Subiaco. But yeah, we'll get you into maybe South Perth. It's probably because you live in South Perth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Where is my cap? Where's my merchandise?
Oh shit!
No, don't. No, you didn't.
I actually forgot.
This is the second shit, right? We've got 3 strike out.
Yeah, you did ask me about that cap. I am so sorry about that.
This is and you said no. Got one for you.
I'll get you. One.
Actually, I really like those caps. I'll wear caps all the fucking time.
Yeah. Actually, I'll get one of those.
Well, I've got one for you actually.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Come to you, Ben. Can you reach over there just as we speak? And
perfect.
And you know what? I've got something else for you as well.
You do?
Just give him a cap first. I don't know if I should really
Give me one.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
I'm not
no,
worthy of
cap.
one.
You're gonna have one because there you go.
Lovely.
Right.
Excuse me. Get this on.
Let's see. Oh,
Big head.
already.
Look at that, mate. How good.
I love it. All right, so I expect my cap.
Yeah, no, that was poor form from me.
Yeah, that was the second one.
That is the second time, mate. I'm so sorry.
But what's now? Let's just wrap it up. And what's on the cards for S30 in the next 12 months?
Next 12 months is we have we're on target to get 14 studios to open, selling between 25 to 30 locations is on target to try and acquire. We're in talks with sort of, some things happening up in Malaysia for another master. And, the main thing is supporting our existing infrastructure to improve network health, achieve return on investment. That's probably our first top priority over scalability is probably implementing better systems, improving our systems, introducing the technology stack so it's efficient, it's working, it's operating, integrating the AI system so it's less time and focus for our managers and staff on more tedious things and into focusing on bettering network performance. So that would be main focus. I don't want to sit here and sort of say, we're off to the moon.
No, but look, it's where you're at is not even a tip yet.
Nah, it's not. In terms of
on that note, I'll tell you what. I've got another present for you.
Okay.
Get the larger one, will you? And now, so that's a lot of work ahead of you, man.
It is.
It's a lot of work.
We've got a great team. We're moving into the East Coast. I'll be relocating to Brisbane to build out our Queensland office and our Queensland team.
Yep.
To scale out through Queensland as a market that we're really targeting. We think it's right and ripe for S30 to come into. Getting into Victoria and New South Wales. And then, assisting our master franchisees in Singapore and New Zealand to, continue to improve and hit their growth plans, and innovating and optimizing some of these new innovations that we're doing as well. It's important that we don't sort of get too far ahead of ourselves and start to go and, get to the US. Again, I think that was probably one of the biggest things with F45. And
before you do that, I think that's another Bali holiday for maybe another 9 months or 6 months.
9 months. It would be. I do need a 9 month. I do need a 9 month break. I think.
9 months.
The US is something that we'd love to get to. We just think it's a tough one. Like you've got to do the US right. Do you do a master or do you do it yourself? Doing it yourself, shitload harder, shitload more money. But it's the US. The sheer scale of doing something in the US.
I'll move to the US and set it up for you if you want.
Absolutely. It's just crazy how much you'll sell. You might sell 2 franchises a month. In Australia, you'll do 20 there. Some people buy 100. It's just wild. The possibilities.
The scale.
But it's also our product is a US product. It's heavily influenced on urban streetwear, R&B, hip hop. It's kind of got that vibe. It's definitely an American.
Well, this is
product.
definitely Ben. Can you pass that because that's definitely going to be good before you go into the US. That's all right.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
That's perfect for you.
Just the tip, I promise. That is gold.
So, just
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I just want my cap.
Yeah, I know. I'll get it back to you. I'll go back to the office now.
All right, Luke. All the best.
Thank you
for you and for your team for the future, and thank you very much for coming in and having a chat to me about
anything for you, Ray.
All the back end of S30 and what the future holds, and we'll definitely I will see you in Hay Street.
Oh, you will. Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks guys.
man. All right.
Cheers.
Ciao.